I'm still trying to process everything that happened in the last few months. Life can change so quickly, and sometimes the people we trust the most can surprise us in ways we never expected. I'm 25, working in IT. It's a good job that pays well, though not exactly what I dreamed of doing when I was younger. But it keeps me comfortable, and that's what matters, right? My story begins with how I met my girlfriend 2 years ago. Our friends Mike and Sarah introduced us at a weekend barbecue. She was 22 then, working as an elementary school teacher. I remember being struck by how passionate she was about her students, always carrying a notebook filled with creative lesson plans and activity ideas. We didn't have that movie-style, instant connection, but something better grew between us, a comfortable, natural bond that deepened with every conversation and shared moment. After dating for a year, we decided to move in together. It felt like the right step forward. We found a cozy one-bedroom apartment, and surprisingly, living together came naturally to us. We fell into easy routines, cooking dinner together, binge-watching shows on the couch, and even our occasional arguments about forgotten groceries or unwashed dishes felt normal and manageable. From the beginning, we were careful about protection. We both agreed we weren't ready for kids. Our careers were just starting, and while we were financially stable, we weren't exactly where we wanted to be. Plus, our apartment was barely big enough for the two of us. But as time passed and we got more comfortable with each other, we became less cautious. We switched to the pull-out method about a year ago. Looking back, I know it wasn't the smartest decision, but we convinced ourselves it was fine after reading some statistics online. We often talked about our future together. Late at night, lying on the couch, we'd discuss what kind of family we wanted to have someday. She'd tell me about the type of parent she wanted to be, and we'd even picked out potential names for our future kids. We debated about having 2 or 3 children. She wanted 3, but I thought 2 was more practical. These conversations felt special, like we were planning our life together, but we always agreed that timing was crucial. We weren't ready yet, and that was okay. Everything changed on what started as a normal Thursday. I got home early from work, wanting to surprise her with a romantic evening. I bought roses and found her dressed up beautifully in a red dress, the table set with candles and flowers. It seemed perfect, until it wasn't. What happened next shook my world. After we were intimate, I went to get a towel from the other room. When I came back, I caught her doing something I never expected. She was trying to get pregnant without my knowledge or consent. According to her phone app, it was her ovulation time, and she had been tracking it for days. The shock of that moment is still vivid in my mind. When I confronted her, she couldn't even speak at first. She just nodded when I asked if she was doing what I thought she was doing. Then came the flood of apologies and explanations. She said she got mixed signals, that she thought I wouldn't mind since we weren't being completely careful anyway. She tried to justify it by saying she saw how good I was with our friends' kids, and thought maybe if it just happened, I'd be happy about it. That night, our comfortable little world crumbled. We barely slept, the weight of her actions hanging heavy between us. All I could think about was how someone I trusted so completely could make such a huge decision about our future, without even talking to me about it. The next few days were a blur. I was reeling, my mind racing with a million thoughts and emotions. Part of me was utterly betrayed, angry that my girlfriend had violated the trust we had built over the years. How could she make such a unilateral decision about our future without even discussing it with me first? We had always agreed that we weren't ready for kids, that the timing wasn't right. And now here she was, trying to get pregnant behind my back. The other part of me felt an overwhelming sense of sadness and loss. We had painted such a beautiful picture of our future together. Getting married, having a family, building a life side by side. And now, all of that felt tainted. The foundation of our relationship shaken to the core. I found myself oscillating between these two extremes, unsure of how to move forward. Some days I was consumed by the anger, replaying the moment of discovery over and over in my mind. Other days, the grief would take over, and I would mourn the loss of the relationship I thought we had. In the midst of this turmoil, I turned to my closest friends and family for support. My best friend Mark didn't mince words. "You need to think about what's best for you," he said bluntly. His no-nonsense approach was a much-needed reality check, a reminder that my own well-being had to be the priority. My sister, on the other hand, took a more empathetic approach. "People make mistakes," she reminded me, her voice gentle. "What matters is how they try to fix them." Her words spoke to the part of me that still loved my girlfriend, that clung to the hope that we could somehow find a way to move past this. Seeking professional guidance, I made an appointment with a counselor, Dr. Harris. Her calm demeanor and thoughtful questions provided a safe space for me to explore my feelings. "Understanding is the first step towards healing," she said, encouraging me to consider not only the emotional impact of my girlfriend's actions, but also the underlying issues that might have led to them. The advice I received was as varied as the emotions that racked me. Mark's words urged me to protect myself, to consider the possibility of a future without my girlfriend. My sister's advice, meanwhile, nudged me towards empathy and forgiveness, towards the potential for growth and healing within our relationship. And Dr. Harris offered a path forward, a way to navigate the complex web of feelings and decisions that lay ahead. As I sat alone, contemplating the future of our relationship, the balance felt delicate. The scales tipped with each day spent in thought, as I weighed the love we had shared against the trust that had been broken. The decision, when it finally came, was not heralded by a moment of clarity or a dramatic revelation. It was a quiet acceptance of the love that remained. A love that, while not unscarred, perhaps emerged stronger for having weathered the storm. Gathering my courage, I sat down with my girlfriend, the weight of the words I needed to say heavy in my chest. "I love you," I began, the truth of those words undiminished by the challenges we faced. "And I believe in us enough to want to try to work through this together." The relief in her eyes was palpable, a lightness returning to her that I hadn't seen in weeks. But I knew there were conditions, necessary foundations for the long process of rebuilding trust. "We need honesty," I told her, holding her gaze, complete and unwavering. "And we need to understand why this happened, and how we can move forward without fear of repeating the same mistakes." My girlfriend nodded, the seriousness of her acknowledgement a testament to the work that lay ahead for both of us. The road to healing would be long, marked by moments of doubt, fear, and perhaps even regression. But the decision to face that road together, to commit to the resilience of our love, was one I was willing to make. The journey towards rebuilding our relationship was not an easy one. In the weeks and months that followed, there were days when the hurt resurfaced with a vengeance, days when the chasm between us felt insurmountable. On those days, the decision to stay felt like a Herculean effort, a test of my capacity for forgiveness. Yet as time passed, the foundation we were building became stronger, more resilient. The love that had once felt fragile, threatened by the specter of deceit, began to flourish again. Tempered by the trials we had faced, but no less vibrant. We learned to communicate in ways we had never done before, expressing our fears, our hopes, and our needs, without the shadows of doubt that had once plagued us. Emma's actions, once the source of my deepest pain, became a testament to her commitment to change, to prove that our relationship was worth the effort. But the journey was not without its setbacks. There were moments when the hurt would resurface, when I would find myself questioning whether I had made the right choice. In those times, I would remember the advice of my friend Mark, the gentle wisdom of my sister, and the steady guidance of Dr. Harris. They had all reminded me that the path forward would not be easy, but that it was one worth walking. And so we continued to work, to communicate, to forgive, and to grow. Piece by piece, we rebuilt the trust that had been shattered, laying the foundations for a new understanding, a deeper appreciation for the love we shared. The consequences of my decision were profound, affecting every aspect of our lives. We emerged from the experience changed, not just as individuals, but as a couple. The relationship that had once been defined by what had been lost was now marked by what we had strived to regain. In choosing to stay, I had chosen the uncertainty of the future over the certainty of the past. It was a leap of faith, a belief in the power of love and forgiveness, and as I look back now, I know that it was the right decision. Emma and I, once on the brink of separation, now stand together, facing whatever the future might hold. United by a renewed commitment to each other and to the values that had guided us, we are stronger, more resilient, and more deeply connected than ever before. This decision, born from the deepest emotional turmoil, has become my testament to the enduring power of love. A love that has been tested, but has emerged stronger, more resilient. It is a choice not just for the present, but for the future we hope to build together. A future where honesty, trust, and love are not just ideals, but the very foundation of our life together.